Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolf Pit with another episode of What Are We Eating and What Are We Cooking? That's right, today we're going to be making Chinese roast pork, also known as Char Siu, which sometimes is also called red pork, which if you've never had Chinese roast pork, you have to rush out immediately and try some, or make it at home yourself. Unfortunately, some places make it with lean pork loin or pork tenderloin, but it's best when you make it with fatty cuts of pork like pork ribs or pork shoulder, also known as a Boston butt or pork picnic. When it's made with fatty cuts of pork, you get the succulent pork fat mixed with the leaner pieces of meat, enhanced by the aromatic, savory, sweet Char Siu seasonings. And then once we make our Chinese roast pork, or Char Siu, we're going to be making roast pork fried rice. But like I said, this is a what are we eating and a what are we cooking video, so what you just saw me making is how to make homemade Char Siu and roast pork fried rice. I'll leave the links to both videos in the description box of this video. But today, thanks to the generosity of Ultimate Bubs, we're going to be trying this packet of Chinese barbecue Char Siu seasoning mix. Thank you Ultimate Bubs for sending this to me. And before I forget, a 3-pack of 2.5 ounce envelopes of the seasoning cost $8, which is considerably cheaper than buying all the ingredients you would need for Char Siu if you don't already have them on hand. And it will also hopefully prevent you from pouring a whole bottle of 5-spice seasoning into your Char Siu marinade. I, the person, really did that. Here's the instructions, ingredients, and nutrition facts. Now I had over 4 pounds of country-style ribs, which are simply pieces of pork shoulder that are cut into strips, which you can get bone-in or boneless. The ones I have today are boneless. So I needed to use all 3 envelopes of seasoning. So we poured it all into a bowl, and to me, it looked like Fun Dip. Do you guys remember Fun Dip? But Verlissa said it looked more like kinetic sand. What say you, the people? And then you add the water, give it a good mix, and then you pour it over your meat. Now once your marinade's been poured all over your meat of choice, the instructions say to marinate for 4 hours or up to overnight. So we covered a dish in plastic wrap and placed it in the refrigerator for overnight. Now if for some reason you cannot eat pork or you don't like pork, I've made Char Siu chicken before and it turns out fabulous. I'll also leave a link in the description box for that video as well if you want to try it. Now here's our pork, which ended up marinating for over 48 hours because life happens. So now remove the pork from the marinade and blot dry on paper towels and place on a raised rack on a cookie sheet. And then they go into a preheated 350 degree oven for 20 minutes. And then after 20 minutes, we're supposed to flip and cook for another 20 minutes. And I, the person, are not dumb. Where you at, Scooter? Make me feel smart. No better than this pork being done in 40 minutes. However, it wouldn't be very enjoyable to eat. None of the fat would render and the meat would be too tough. So I just decided to flip it every 20 minutes until it's done. And here's our Char Siu, or Chinese roast pork, after cooking at 350 degrees for almost 2 hours. So we went in and cut up a piece because we had to try it right away, ASAP. And it looked and smelled like Chinese roast pork, but the most important thing is, did it taste like Chinese roast pork? So once again, Verlissa sliced and diced, and then she shanked, and that looks succulent and delicious. So into the old pie hole and down the gullet it went. Yep, that's my reaction. Crickets chirping. The Char Siu looked the part, but it didn't play the part. But sometimes meats like this need to mature in the refrigerator for a day or two. So into the fridge it went. So we tried another piece 24 hours later, and the flavor was just slightly better. And the problem with this marinade was it did not have any MSG, because the flavors are so subtle in this. The MSG would have really brought those flavors out. So I'm going to try to fix the flavor problem and add MSG when I make our roast pork fried rice using my new 12-inch granite stone Courtesan nonstick wok that comes with a lid and a spatula, courtesy of the much appreciated generosity of Jim Dewar. Thank you, Jim. Now I have my wok over medium-high heat, and I'm adding my roast pork. And I have not added any additional oil because there should be enough fat in the pork to fry itself. Now I'm going to be making 2 batches of fried rice, so this meat is enough for 2 batches of fried rice made with 2 cups of cooked rice each. Now once the roast pork is thoroughly heated through and caramelized, remove it from the wok. Now keep in mind, when you're making fried rice or many stir-fry dishes at home, there's a lot of additional steps you need to take due to the low BTUs or heat output from a home stove versus a jet burner you would see in a Chinese restaurant or on an outside burner you may have at home that you use for seafood boils or frying turkey. Now even though I really didn't have to, I added just a little bit of oil. Again, my wok is over medium-high heat. And then I added 8 scrambled eggs, which I'm going to use half for each batch of fried rice, followed by a little salt, a little MSG, and pepper. And then cook the eggs until they're almost done. Don't cook them all the way yet, because if you do cook them all the way now, when you add them back into the rice as you're stir frying, they're going to end up being rubbery and tough. Now again, once the eggs are done, remove them from your wok. Now I've turned the heat up on my wok up to high, and I'm adding my rice with no oil. Now let me go ahead and ruffle some feathers and break a myth. Number 1, you don't have to use day-old fried rice. I've shown that and proved that in previous videos, and I'm going to do it here again today. And when I've done that and proved it before, I was not using a non-stick wok. I was using a well-seasoned carbon steel wok with rice I cooked probably half an hour before I fried it, just like I'm doing today. Another myth I'm gonna bust is you have to use cold rice, which is simply not true. Using day-old, cold, dry rice makes it easier in most cases, but it's not necessary. Here's my method of cooking rice that I'm gonna be using for fried rice. It's not a secret, it's not my trick. Lots of people know this, but for some reason, a lot of people on the internet don't share this. Number 1, spend an additional 5 minutes and thoroughly, and I mean thoroughly, rinse your rice until the water runs clear. And then do not read the directions on the package of rice. It will tell you to add 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. If you do that, every single time you try to make fried rice, you're gonna make porridge. Use 1.5 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. Or better yet, use the tip of your finger and add that much amount of water over the rice. It doesn't matter if you're using a pot or a rice cooker. That method will work. And one more trick you can use, and it's not a secret, is add 1 tablespoon of oil per 1 cup of uncooked rice before you cook it. Now with the heat still on high, add half of the roast pork. Followed by half of 1 medium chopped yellow onion, a half a cup of frozen peas and carrots, and then half of the scrambled eggs. Give it all a mix and stir fry for a couple minutes. And then add as much or as little garlic as you like. And I would normally also add fresh bean sprouts, but my store didn't have them today. And then give it a quick mix, and then add salt, sugar, MSG, and pepper to taste. Followed by soy sauce. And last but not least, some toasted sesame oil. Stir fry for another minute or two, and then it's time to eat. And there you have it, Chinese roast pork fried rice. And this actually somehow turned out better than in a Chinese restaurant. It was very strange because the roast pork by itself didn't have a whole lot of flavor to it. You could tell the flavor was there, but it was being bashful and didn't want to come out and tickle your taste buds. But once it was stir fried with additional seasonings, vegetables, soy sauce, and sesame oil, the flavors exploded and went full ham. And to be perfectly honest, the only thing that this roast pork fried rice was missing was the wok hei that you get from using super high heat that gives you that nice, smoky, nutty flavor. I'm being serious. Don't be surprised if you find the Wolf Pit China Palace coming to an area near you soon. And don't forget, if any of you, the people, want to check out my Amazon wish list to pick up something weird, funky, or cool for me to try in a video, there's a link in the description box. Thank you all very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.